Thank you and welcome to the eMpTy podcast. And to my right, we have...
Buddy in the building, aka The Truth.
Opposite Buddy, we have...
Did he just snort? Cheeky Buddy.
I thought he was going to spit.
Man like citrus. Yaga yo, 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 yo. It's the citrus in the house. And we're running the show. Yeah, yeah.
And next to Citrus, we have...
Ray Bomber Clark Nelson.
And next to Ray, we have...
Sirelli, ever so slightly broken.
And myself, Mr. Wileycat DJ. So, today is going to be an interesting topic. To get ourselves a bit warm, we're nice and lively, but I want to get ourselves a bit warm. I'm going to ask a couple very quick fire questions. Please, no long answers. No long answers. Quick fire questions. So, it is... One of these is going to be erased from history. One of these you're going to get to keep 50% of the history. One of them you will keep 100% of the history. Have you all got that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right. Right then.
Just before you start, Senor, I do apologise. But for those that are trying to share it with friends and family that may not be on Instagram, we are actually live right now. We are live right now as we speak on YouTube. Go onto YouTube, type in the eMpTy podcast, and you will see that we are live. Subscribe, get on there. Unfortunately, we haven't got the chat going on the YouTube account just yet, but at least we're on there and we're live, so we can save it and people can view it at a later date. Also, what we're looking for to try and migrate ourselves over to YouTube fully, but for now,
subscribe.
Instagram is our home.
Shouts out to White Men Can't Jerk, big in my Prince of Peckham and all that.
Brilliant. Right then. Quick question. So, very quickly, spiders, mosquitoes, rats.
So what's going?
What's going? What you keeping from 50%? What is going from history? And what are you keeping 100%?
Is it just all spiders?
All spiders?
I'm keeping spiders.
All mosquitoes?
I'm
all
keeping
rats?
spiders.
Yeah, I'll keep mosquitoes, man. I can deal with that.
Malaria, bro.
Yeah.
I'm keeping spiders.
Mosquitoes don't actually have a purpose. Spiders eat other insects.
I'm keeping spiders 100%.
And rain. Yeah.
Right?
Spiders. The rats don't serve no purpose.
As much as this hurts me,
Rat 50%.
rats 50%, and mosquitoes have to go.
Yeah, mosquitoes have to go.
Bruv, malaria's too vicious. And you get bitten by a rat.
I can't get malaria.
Bitten by a rat, what'd you get?
Not malaria.
You get rabies.
I can't get
You get
malaria.
rabies, huh?
Why can't you get malaria?
Why?
Sickle cell trait.
Huh?
Sickle cell trait. I can't get malaria.
You can get rabies though.
I never. I'm talking
That's why you can get raped though.
No.
Where you going with that, bro?
Yeah, I'm saying I can't get malaria. So in that
No,
essence,
wait. All right. So what we going? What we going with? Why?
Right then. So, next one. Next one is...
No, we need the answers.
No, I think go to the next one, but go.
Right then.
No, Rain did answer.
Yeah. Rain was on spiders.
100% gone.
100% gone because you've
No, what's 100% gone?
spiders.
And then 50% gone.
50%. I will take the mosquitoes and the rats.
100% rats.
Keeping 100%. Yeah.
Buddy.
I'm not on that. Rats are gone. Like
100%.
What? Because you scared of rats?
No, I just don't like them. What's no purpose?
You scared of rats?
Rats
No.
100% gone.
I'm not scared of rats, but 100% that's gone. And then I would probably say 50% spiders and 100%
Jumping
mosquitoes.
spiders, blood. Jumping spiders. Have you seen jumping?
50%, bro.
Yeah,
That's
but
fine.
it's still jumping spiders.
We live in England, bro.
Buddy's 50%.
They don't-
Sorry, Wiley, go.
Right, rats are gone, mosquitoes
Bruv.
are 50% and spiders
Me.
are 100%.
Do you know the worst thing is? How many times do you encounter a rat? Really? How many times do you encounter
It's
a
the
rat?
obvious question, brother.
And when you see a rat, you're scared, it's scared. Do you know what I mean? You can see a spider go, ah! It will jump on your face, bro.
Mosquitoes, like this. And the thing is, mosquitoes are actually hunting you down.
Well, one second, you got to understand, we live in England, innit? So mosquitoes, we're living in England at the moment. Mosquitoes, we don't have that problem.
We do.
We don't have that.
Brother,
of course we do.
Not to that level, bro. If you go to West Indies or you're in certain other countries,
Bro,
you're experienced it bit me. But over here, we don't get that.
Where there, I can't remember
When
what
it's
they call
standing
them.
water.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but when summer and standing water, and it's
We're not getting mosquitoes
any farm,
like that,
any of
bro.
those places there,
Yeah.
a swamp.
Not
Okay,
like
next one.
that.
Very, very quickly. Next one. Sex.
You better have 5 of these, right?
Yeah,
Jesus.
I've got quite a few.
Let's go.
Sex,
100%.
money,
100% already.
happiness.
How happy the sex made me?
Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking technicality straight away.
Money,
Do
happiness.
you know what? Money's gone.
Money's gone. Yeah.
Money's gone.
Yeah.
Money's gone, bruv.
Happiness is got to be
Happiness
number one.
is 100%.
But money can get sick. But happiness.
And don't try and offshoot one onto the other.
Well, that's what I was gonna do.
No.
It's happiness, sex, money. Done. Let's go.
Money's gone.
Let's go.
You lot
Money's
do
gone.
morals. All right, cool.
No, it's not to do with morals. If you're happy, you don't really care about the money.
You're gonna be Vex millionaire. This is Rain on that Vex millionaire podcast.
Can you imagine? Nah, Rain, put it really seriously. Could you imagine waking up every day vexed?
Because you got money, allow it.
You're vexed every day.
I'm vexed. I'm rich.
Yeah, but would you
freaking
be?
money.
But realistically, would you be if you had
Somebody's
money?
injecting you with a drug every day that makes you vexed.
Because you just got rid of happiness, or you got rid of sex. It's one of the two. So either one of them, I don't want them to
Rain,
go.
we'll make it up simple. You've got a sickness that they have to give you a drug.
Yeah, quick fire.
Sorry,
Quick fire. Quick fire.
Next one.
Right then, the next one. Mobile phones, internet, social media.
Social media's gone.
Go on again.
Social media's gone.
No,
Mobile phone
Put it
container
on
as well.
No, do you know what's going? Do you know what 50%?
mobile phones.
What's that?
Mobile phones.
Yeah.
And what was that? What was
Mobile
100%?
phone can go.
The mobile phones, internet, social media.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right then.
Because
Now,
I'm happy with a Nokia face off.
No, I'm happy with a landline that's got two-way calling. Oh, someone else is phoning. Just two people. Yeah, that's
right
it.
then.
Yeah, bless.
Right then. So this should be easy for all of us in the room.
Okay.
But I don't know if it will be. Showtime rhythm,
Showtime with him.
Belly has rhythm,
No, still Showtime.
Diwali rhythm.
Showtime, Diwali.
Diwali can
Now, can somebody explain? Because people may be thinking, what are these rhythms? They may not know them by name. So
Rain.
name a tune.
Rain.
We'll go to our, no,
We'll go to our resident dancehall.
Showtime. Hey.
There you go.
No, you're better off
That's the
singing a
Imagine
song.
No, there you go.
So England or Hypocrite, Beanie Man, that's Showtime rhythm.
All right, go on.
Bellyas rhythm is Who Them, Capleton's rhythm, that's that tune. And then Diwali is
Doesn't matter.
yeah, there's loads on Diwali.
But that's sufferer. But you know
Yes.
what?
Is it
Diwali
doing
can
like a genie?
Yes. No. That's
that Diwali?
no. That's
Mad Ants or something like
yes. That's Showtime.
right.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's go. Next one.
Next one.
So, next one is Jodeci, Jagged Edge, Boyz II Men.
Should you say Jodeci, Jagged Edge?
Jodeci, Jagged Edge, Boyz
Jagged
II
Edge
Men.
is gone.
Boyz II Men, I'm keeping 100%.
Yeah, 100% Boyz
Jagged
II
Edge
Men.
is gone.
Yeah, and Jodeci is 50%.
This
There
is
you go.
Buddy's area. I don't care for any of them really.
No, Boyz II Men, 100%.
Yeah, go on.
I didn't care.
Jagged Edge
Do you
is
know
gone.
what? To be fair, if it went, some of you lot
Wouldn't have been born. Wouldn't have been born.
some of you lot would still be with your angry ex. All right.
So, mine would be Jodeci, keep 50% of Jagged Edge, Boyz II Men gone.
What?
Boyz II Men gone.
You don't like music.
Right then. Next one.
Oh my days.
And he calls himself a DJ.
Listen. It's what I play and what gets the reaction. That's the thing. Right then.
All right, let's go.
Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jet Li.
Do you know what?
Jet
Bruce
Li's
Lee's
gone.
gone, you know. Bruce Lee's gone. He's actually gone. He's gone.
What? No, Enter the Dragon?
No, what for?
When you say so, what are you saying? Hold on, no.
Jackie Chan, 100%. Jet Li, 50%.
Jackie Chan, 100%.
Nah, Jackie can stay.
Jackie's
Jackie's a legend.
100%.
You know what? It's a bit unfair because we
Wait,
never saw
I'm going to take the light off.
No.
Wait.
I'm going to take the light off.
Wait, to be fair, Bruce Lee never got to give us his
done enough.
full
He done enough,
repertoire,
though.
so you can't really compare him to people that are
Bruce
still
Lee
going
gave us
now.
the 1-inch punch blood.
Brother, I ain't used it. Jackie Chan, 100%.
Bruce is staying, and Jackie's staying. Jet Li's gone.
Jet Li's gone after the one. Have you seen the one?
It's okay. Jackie Chan, he's not taking Jackie, and he's not taking Bruce. So
Jet Li,
without Bruce, there's not a lot of the
Jet
others.
Li was the
So,
first man to introduce
What, the
everyone-
ropes?
To introduce everyone to the multiverse.
What the ropes and
the
stuff.
understanding the multiverse.
Let me get a rope and do a backflip. Get out of here. Jackie Chan does his own thing. Jackie's staying 100%.
We know that, but no. But
One second.
You're talking about new things.
Can we get clarification? He said quick fire.
Yes.
Right. I'm saying Bruce, see you later.
I can't say Bruce.
Bruce is gone. Jet's 50. Jackie 100%.
You know,
Snake in the Eagle Shadow and Drunken Master.
Drunken Master,
Joe
blood.
did,
Yeah.
Joe did
Yeah,
about 8 years of my
you know
life.
how much time I was in the playground and I was like this.
Listen,
You like me, yeah?
I'm whacking that man. I got a glass of water, whacking that man in my plastic beaker.
You know the funny thing is,
go.
if a you tries to rap with you now, for some reason, you always go back into that kind of, I can
I'll do the sound
just,
effect.
yeah.
right then.
Let's go again.
Right then, I'm gonna go to the very last one. There's loads I got here, but I'm gonna go to the very last one. And this is the eras. It don't matter whether it's music, films, or whatever. It's the eras.
90s staying. I don't care what else.
Next. Just do another one. Just do another one.
90s one.
It's
Straight up.
Say anything
90s
you want.
isn't there.
90s ain't there. Because I knew people would say 90s.
80s or
2000s, 80s, 2000s, 2010s.
It's 2000s. It's 2000s.
2000 staying.
Yeah, his voice.
Disappointed, bro.
2000s.
Do you know why? They'll still play a couple 90s things. So I'm gonna take that.
I'm trying to think what was. Yeah. It's not even a conversation. It's
Come.
Okay. Interesting, but anyway, it's been good having. There's a load of feedback on it. I'm not even going to try and go through it. There's a whole load of. There's pure controversy and angry people with some of the answers. But it's going to get more interesting. It's going to get more hyped up and more views are going to be said. So, today's podcast is entitled "Where Are You From?" Now, the podcast has come about because there's been a load of different debates. Offline in our podcast group about where people are actually from, and we've been talking about we wanted to do this podcast for a number of years now. The day has finally arrived. So, very quickly, going around the room, where would you all say you're from? So I'll start off with Buddy.
I already knew the answer that you're going to go this way. I am born in this country, so I'm British with a West Indian Jamaican heritage.
Okay, Citrus.
I would say the same with a Saint Lucian heritage.
Rain.
Where am I from?
Yeah.
I'm
If someone said to you today, where are you from?
I'm from the UK.
Okay. Sirelli.
I'm from Saint Lucia and I live in the UK.
Okay. My answer would be I'm a Nigerian. Now that caused exactly. Now that has caused a lot of eruption and discussion in here. And so the whole reason for the podcast today isn't to have a whole warfare or whatever.
Yes,
but
it is.
to have not really.
When you start with talk like this, it is.
No, no.
So for people out there listening,
Straight.
Mr. Boom, where were you born?
Thank you.
I was born in Hackney, East London.
Same hospital as me.
Okay, so let's go around the room.
I was born in West London.
Yeah.
I was born Mother's Hospital, Hackney, Clapton, East London, E5. Shout out to Random.
And we already know Rain wasn't born, he just appeared one day. Yeah, so
You know, out came the sunshine.
yeah, he just lined up all the alright. Just turned up.
For the record, Shoreditch Mother's Hospital, which is knocked down now.
Shoreditch Mother's Hospital.
Oh yeah, Eastland.
Is it Shoreditch?
Shoreditch. Yeah.
There was a hospital there.
I'm telling you, there was.
There was
It's still there,
there was a
still
weather
there.
machine.
No.
A tornado came and just landed.
Now, what's interesting about that is very much about how you, dependent upon where you stand, it's either how you're perceived or how people perceive you. Now, for me, I perceive myself as a British-born Nigerian. Both my parents are Nigerian. I was born over here, but I don't have a choice where I'm born. But I do have a heritage and a lineage that goes back to not from this country.
He's upset already. Look at his face.
The first opening statement he's made me mad.
I don't know what. Hold on, your time
Let
will
him
come.
land, let him land.
Calm down. All right, buddy. British, your time will come.
I didn't get a choice of where I was born.
British.
So
I got a choice of what.
now,
With a white suit, for champagne on it.
I like this for the rest of the podcast, BB over there.
BB, indeed. So, but the point of the matter is that this is the way that I understand it to be. Yeah, is that we don't get a choice where we're born. Where we're from is where we're from, but we don't get a choice where we're born. So, if you're born over here, you could be born in this country, but it don't necessarily mean that you have to identify as being British. Because, to be clear, not really. To be clear, being British is not a nationality; it's a citizenship. English is a nationality, Scottish is a nationality, Welsh is a nationality, but being English is not an actual nationality. You can only be a British citizen.
So, just for clarification, because we're not sure. I need to get some statistical, some data.
Some data.
Yeah, because you're just confusing the hell out of me. So I'm trying to help myself and those that are listening in right now. What do you mean?
What do I mean?
So what is the definition of a nationality?
So a nationality, the definition being, if you have a nationality of a particular country, you were either born there or have a legal right to be a citizen. So you can either be born somewhere and be a national of that country, or you can be a citizen by right. So, for example, my mum is a British citizen, but she weren't born here.
Right.
Yeah? I was born here before 1983. If you're born after... What year was you born? Just a quick question.
1983.
The reason I'm asking, after 1983, you don't have automatic entitlement to be a British national if you're born here. You don't have an automatic entitlement. So once it's after...
Say that again?
After 1983, you don't have entitlement... Automatic entitlement, I beg your pardon, sorry, to be a British national or a British citizen if you're born in this country. So you could be born, for example, before, if you was born from someone who was here illegally before 1983, once you're born here, you're a British, you can claim to be a British citizen. Now, if you're born here as a child from someone who's illegal here, you don't automatically become
Can I interject you right now? Wait, I got something to say. 'Cause I want to say.
He's done research.
So as an example of what you just said, what is the example of your nationality? Your nationality is the country your country you're from. America, Canada, Russia are all nationalities. Everyone has a gender, race, sexual orientation, and a nationality. A person's nationality is where they are legally citizened, usually in the country where they were born.
Okay, now here's where we get into where it becomes interesting.
Usually.
Okay.
Usually being the thing here. And the thing is, I don't disagree with anybody who says they are born here and is a British national or a British citizen. But what I find interesting is people who will tell other people, like British Buddy, who will tell people that they are from somewhere where they don't claim to be. And I don't think you have. That's one of the things I was going to say. One of the questions I was going to come to was, can you tell somebody where they are from? Can you tell someone where they're from?
Well, of course.
No. Because I don't want to go down this road because I can see getting to this point where I identify as British or I
identify as a lion. Sorry, I don't want to talk about the lion, please.
I don't want to talk about Isla Bryson on this podcast.
Here's the thing. I don't want to make it go anywhere other, because there's a lot of other streams you can go into. It becomes very murky and grey, and you have a lot of different views to it. So sticking on the nationality point of it.
Before we get too deep, so there's nationality.
Yep, and there's citizenship.
And heritage.
Yes.
So can I get a definition on the heritage, please?
Heritage is a person's unique inherited sense of family identity. Mm-hmm. So you can create that from your parents, is what they're basically saying.
Yep.
Okay.
So I can pick my heritage via my parents.
Via your parents, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I can't choose if I want to identify.
You can't say you're Scottish. You can't say you're Scottish.
I can't just.
You have to have some lineage.
Why not? Just out of interest, why not?
Because what link have you got to Scotland?
No. I'm asking it as a.
He's saying it is a link. So what is the link?
So if I say that I'm a British citizen, I'm
I
born
drink
here,
Scottish whiskey.
I've got a British passport.
Yeah.
That will be my link to Scotland.
All right, once again, I could.
I'm doing a.
No, I get what you're saying.
So based on some of that, I can also say I identify with being Canadian. Why? Because I got Canadian family.
No, you ain't got
my
the you ain't got the passport.
I ain't got the passport there.
Your mum and your dad has to be
my mum and my dad are not from there. My great grandmother lived over there for a long time and has citizenship right there.
Lived over there.
She died over there. She wasn't born there. She was born in Jamaica and then she moved over to thing. But I got aunts and uncles and cousins and whatever else, not all that live in Canada. So according to the Wiley theory,
it's not the Wiley theory.
I can now identify and say I can put that into my lineage and say my heritage says I identify with being Canadian. I've got Canadian.
Yes and no. If you're going to make
bollocks.
The thing is, if you're going to make a point, at least make your point be a point that can be backed with what you're saying. If you're just saying, oh, I can just say my grandmother was Canadian, for example, there were plenty of footballers who played for Ireland whose great-grandmothers or whatever lived in Ireland. So they could categorically claim to be that. There's a current footballer who was born in Italy, his parents are Brazilian, his dad's Brazilian, his mum's Italian, and he played for Spain.
He's talking about Thiago.
So you have scenarios where somebody could categorically do things like that, if that is the case. But if you're going to say it's bollocks, as you're saying, the theory can be disproved by facts of what it can say it is.
Citizenship, you can get citizenship from saying to yourself, I've lived in this country for a certain amount of time, and then I've gone for a legal citizenship, and say to myself, you know, I've come from this country, I'm nationalised with this country, and I've got my passport to say I'm an English citizen or a British citizen. Now, you can do that. You can do that in any place in the world. So saying I'm a citizen of somewhere doesn't mean that's where I'm from, which
You
is
can't do it in any country.
You can't do it in any country.
most countries. But I'm saying where he just turned and said the tagline of this conversation is, where are you from?
Right, okay.
All right. So where I'm from will be where I was born and my heritage, which is the definition. When he first came to me, because I knew he was going to come this way, all right, he came to me and he asked me, and I'm saying to myself, well, I am born here, which makes me a British citizen, and I was born here. This is the country I was born, and I have a heritage that comes from the West Indies, in aka Jamaica.
I feel like Buddy researched this one because he's going for it today.
Well, the thing is, no. The thing is, he's actually
he called the colonies. The thing is, the colonies. Yeah, give me some dirt.
The thing is, I would agree with Buddy. I actually agree with Buddy to a point, because Buddy actually has said something that actually. What was it you just said about heritage and citizenship?
I'm a British citizen.
You're a British citizen,
and I've come from my heritage is from the West Indies.
So if your heritage is from the West Indies, yeah, what heritage do you have?
What do you mean what heritage? I just said my heritage is from
the West Indies.
Yeah.
So that would be inherently, if your heritage is from there, by definition, if your heritage comes from there, that is where you, by heritage, would be able to say. And I'm not saying you should say this or shouldn't say this. What I'm saying is, you could quite easily say, I am from my heritage, where I am from.
You can't say you're from there.
Why not?
The word, because like it's your heritage.
Yeah.
So
Right.
your history is from that area or that era or wherever it may be. You said I'm Nigerian.
Yes.
Now, if we dropped you in Lagos, for example,
Yep.
and you told one of the elders I am Nigerian,
Yep.
what are they going to say to you?
They're going to say to me.
Well, no. So sorry.
Go on.
No, different question. If you landed in a tourist part of Nigeria,
Yep.
with how you dress, how you talk, what price are they charging you for a mango?
They probably charge me a lot more than mango.
Right, why?
Because they would see that I'm not a native of the country.
All right.
You know what? Straight away he's called a foreigner as soon as he walks in.
However,
It's not even lie.
however, if I was born in Nigeria and I came here at 1 and I lived here till 40 and I went back there, I would get the same treatment.
Okay,
the thing is, I have a Nigerian passport as well as a British passport. So if I wasn't a Nigerian national, I couldn't possibly get a Nigerian passport. It wouldn't be possible.
No, but I've got a Jamaican passport. But
Yeah.
I wasn't born in Jamaica. The reason I've got a
Please don't send immigration right now.
It's a bad story. When there was some issues that England were having with whatever, my dad said, right, they're not calling you up to go for war for them. You got to go and get that passport. Go and get a passport.
In Nigeria, it's called youth call. You have to do national service, whether it be the army, whether it be
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria,
Have you done it?
Youth call. No.
So that means you can't be from there.
No, hold on. No, it's a very simple answer.
You paid the money.
No, it's not a very simple answer. No, it's a very simple answer. If you're not over there, if I went back there to live now, I would have to do national service. If I went
At
back
your
there
age?
at my age, if I went back there to live, I would have to do a period of national service because I've got a Nigerian passport.
So you're never gonna go. So would you do that?
I would do it if I could.
What? No.
If I could do it, I would do it.
No. So obviously you're from there, so you've got aspirations to go back home.
I have aspirations to go back home, and I've got businesses out there. So I have aspirations
So
to.
you are businesses.
I've got businesses. Why are you?
Leave him alone.
Red man in the building.
Yeah. I didn't hear the condescending tone. Business.
Let me. It's all right. Because
Renegade.
Wow.
if you're gonna claim to do something, you have to at least be able to do it. I've got family who we have all invested in things back home. So we have got a family business, bits of family business back home. We've got a lawyer firm, from my grandfather. We have various bits of land and property. We have farms out there. So there are businesses out there that I am invested in. I don't just say that I have things out there. I actually invest in back home. So it's not like I just sit here and just stuck up the money. And no, some of the money goes back home.
You know what? I feel Rain owes you an apology.
No. Because if
businesses.
That's gonna be a soundbite now.
If someone doesn't know, then they're not gonna know, innit? And it's only for you to tell people that they don't know. But the thing is, for me, then this is what I don't want to try and hog up the whole talking. I don't view it as a bad thing if someone says they are British. I just think that you can't tell somebody where they're from.
Okay,
that's my issue.
So there are. I've been sitting back on this one. Couple things. Where you're born is where you're born. You cannot change that. No matter what passport you get to claim as your second passport, if war breaks out, England are getting you first. No matter how you feel, this is what's happening.
No, but can't you? If you have dual citizenship,
are you telling me the King's Army is going to say, 1 second, he's got a Jamaican passport, he can slide? That's not happening.
No, but you must be able to do something. I don't know the detail, but through diplomatic, whatever it may be, you must be able to. But in regards to Jamaica, I probably won't be able to because it's owned by the Commonwealth, or it's the Commonwealth, isn't it? So I'm going.
Is it still the Commonwealth now?
Yeah.
They're trying to get it.
There's only a couple countries in the Caribbean that have come out. But sorry, go on.
Barbados.
My thing.
So the way I see it is, where you are from, you cannot change. Where you are born, you cannot change. Where you identify is your choice. Where you identify is your choice.
He's right. As much as you may want to argue with that.
You have a. I think.
However, where you identify doesn't necessarily make it correct.
Okay.
And that's my view. Do you know what I mean? It's like the room went silent. It doesn't necessarily.
It goes into so many different things. That's why.
But yeah, because there are so many different facets that it falls underneath, right?
Yes.
And it's down to your point of perception. I know if I go to Saint Lucia and then probably went further back to Sierra Leone, or do you know what I mean, Ghana, or wherever we came from before that, or the US, or might be Saint Lucia itself, I don't know, and try to identify to say, yo, you know we're the same, right? They'll look at me and say we might look the same,
my brother,
but we're not the same. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to respect that, and I wouldn't turn around and claim to any of these other places because I have no direct affiliation with them. Apart from I have family there. My mum was born there. My dad was born there. My grandparents were born there. However, it's not my land.
It's not your land, but that doesn't mean that if you did a DNA test that you don't have more or even the same amount of ancestry from that area. I never said
that. I just said where I was born. Do you know what I mean? Where I was born, I have a birth certificate with this country's name on it.
So
I have a passport with this country's name on it. So if you said to me, for example, someone that's born in another country, and you came and said to me, and we went to war, and they said, everyone from England come, and then you said, well, I was actually born over in that little island over there, and then they said to you, well, you can go fight with them, and then you get called couple hundred islands later or whatever it is, I can't be vexed because that's where you're from. You're not from here. Do you know what I mean? Without being disrespectful,
it's true.
You've been raised here all your life, or the majority of your life, but you're not from here. Do you know what I mean? If they send you back to the hospital you were born in, or the shell, do you get what I mean? That's what you're heading to.
So I kind of disagree with you. I know logically it sounds kind of plausible, but there are people who are born at sea. There are people that are born on ships at sea.
Right, and depending on where and what ocean or what sea you're born in, there are different laws to allow you to identify. People that are born on planes, there are different, depending on where you've departed from and where you've landed, the time you were born.
But planes and ships are different. If you're born in international waters, then there is no claim.
No, there is. It's. I remember this. It's where your plane terminates in, or where it lands. That's where you become a citizen from.
Right. On ships as well.
Ships as well. Same thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
It does actually mention that about being.
You would mention international waters and all that kind of stuff, but you traverse the international waters to a port, and then the port is where you will register your baby. You can't register a baby in the air.
No, definitely not. I know in the air that doesn't count, but I know if you're in water and you're born at sea in international waters. Well, that's how people say.
But that's mad. So what does that mean? Unless you are born at, no, it doesn't even matter. Even if you were born at sea and the ship was going to be sailing around for the next 42 days, wherever you have to register the baby somewhere. Because you have to go onto a statistic somewhere to say, right, this baby is blah blah blah, and checks and all that kind of stuff.
And it's funny because that's the only one that says, at that point they don't know where your nationality or your citizenship will be, because because they have to work out where you are, and it does mention that.
So as a sorry, go on.
So I was also going to say something else, and I suppose I'm hoping you was going to come onto this, but for example, I'll give you an example. I was born over here. My son's mum was born over here. One of his grandparents, or two of his grandparents, were born over here. All right, he was born over here. He now has children that will probably be born over here. All right. So now when the say their children's children, they have children now, and they're all going to come from a heritage of a line of people that were all born in England, and they now lose, and this happens a lot.
Yep.
Like they now don't know where they're from. Like, right, I know we're black, but where are we from?
Like America.
Exactly like America, because a lot of Americans do not know where they're from. So it comes to a point where you don't know where your heritage comes from. So heritage is very different from knowing where they're from, because at this point they were saying, where are you from? They were saying, I'm from England. Mm-hmm. What do you mean you're from England? Where's your parents from? From England. Where's your parents' parents from? From England. We're from England. This is where we're from. Now, luckily and hopefully, we will always be able to keep the heritage to turn and say, you know what, your family heritage is from this place, this country, Jamaica, Saint Lucia, Nigeria, or wherever it is that you're from. It'd be a case of that we keep the heritage by informing your children and your children's children of where they're from. But they would eventually say this is where they're from, because it's the same thing that happened in essence with the West Indies. Because where are we originally from? As far as I know, or I can go back, my family's from Jamaica. But when it comes down to it, like you said earlier on, they could be from America, they could be from Ghana, they could be from Sierra Leone. I don't know where they're from, to be honest with you, because as far as I can go back from, they was born in Jamaica. And after that line will be wherever it is, and so on and so forth. So eventually, kids, our ancestors will probably say we're from England.
So just clarity on the point about born at sea, born in air, because we really just kind of got the detail up.
So if you're born at sea in international waters, you identify as the flag that the vessel carries.
Chief.
Wow.
So if you're a pirate,
This is where
if you're born on a Norwegian ship, you're Norwegian. And we have plenty of Norwegian ships that go between England and Europe, mainland Europe. There's a lot of Norwegian ships that do that. So you become Norwegian.
Nicky just
Why is he taking that Norwegian?
Nicky just told us we're all wrong. He told us the wrong answer.
He told us the wrong answer about what?
Nicky googled it quickly.
Right.
all right. So there's so it gets a bit further and it gets a little bit deeper. So how you identify, should that then deter how you carry yourself?
Identify.
How you identify.
Well, so
you're in a rave and it says all Jamaicans flash up on a lighter.
You were born there, but you've never been there. So Rain puts his hand up.
born there, never been there.
Yes.
You're born in Jamaica.
You're born in Jamaica, but as soon as your mum left, came to this country.
Yeah, but I am Jamaican though, ain't it? Irrespective of what you say.
Okay, so to make it easier,
Sounds
to
like
make
born
it a
in
different way,
England.
born in England to Jamaican parents.
Right.
Yeah.
So me, I've been raised as a Jamaican. So I can only identify with Jamaican values and all that kind of stuff. So when they're in a rave and it's push up your lighter if you're Jamaican, I do push up my lighter.
Same.
You know what I mean?
I mean, so do I. It's fine.
That depends on the ratio of the people in the company.
But realistically, I have to understand that I was born over there, which is in England. You know what I mean? So I am English, British, whatever you want to call it.
So when you go to Jamaica, how do people in Jamaica identify you?
British.
Tourist, foreigner.
Foreigner.
Simple as that.
English, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're always the same thing.
English. Like
English
my cousin, he was so he went to Jamaica to live from he was 11 to about 18. So he was there for a big period of time. He goes back now in his 40s and he's still called English. That's his name. His name is English. They understand that he's come over and done a thing, but he's still English. So with me, I'm always going to be English foreigner, British, whatever it may be.
The irony is in the Caribbean in particular, as soon as you leave the island, it's almost like if you do a year out of the country, you are now a foreigner.
Well, see, no, that's not. No, I don't think so.
No, a continuous year.
Yeah.
If you keep coming back and traveling, then it's like, okay, we haven't forgotten about you. We see you, so it's all right. But the time it starts to elapse, and people are like, oh yeah, you went a foreign, innit? You've been gone for a hot minute. We ain't seen you again. As soon as that gets into the mentality, you're a foreigner.
But no, see, I'm not sure about that because my dad's been here for a long time and he goes back every so often. But
what's every so often?
Foreigner.
So he might go every other year. So, for example, the last time he went, he was there for. He went the end of last year to came back in January the 30th. So, but then previous to that, he's gone and come back. But he is a Jamaican. No one can't tell him nothing. My mum now, who was born over there, she went over there, obviously. Now she might be seen as the foreigner because she's
how she carries herself.
The accent, exactly. That's what I'm leading to. So the accent's gone a little bit. It comes out when she gets angry or whatever it may be, but the accent's a little bit different. But my dad is a Jamaican. She might be considered something else, but you know what I mean? It's not as thick as my dad would be.
It's funny because my mum, even though she got a British nationalisation, she's still Nigerian. She will never say she's British. My dad had gone back twice. I can only remember him going back twice before he passed away. He was definitely not ever claiming he was British. And they couldn't call him, and maybe it's different.
It's different.
They couldn't call him.
So I know,
yeah.
As the question that Sirelli posed is, when you go there, and those that are there, nationals that are there, see you as straight away English. When I go, so beforehand I used to travel quite a lot in the Caribbean. I'd go certain places, I wouldn't talk. Because I know as soon as I open up my mouth, price going up. Do you know what I mean? Price is tripled, whatever else. I just wait for someone else and say to them, "What? You're getting a taxi to the same place I'm going." All right, cool. Call the taxi. I'm rolling with you. When they give you the price, I'll give you half the money. You pay them, and that's what it is. And when I first went to Trinidad, I got in a car that was a bus. Didn't know because it was a car, and I paid something like $30 to go down the road. Coming back, I was about to pay the next $30. The woman that got in with me, who is from Trinidad, was like, "This isn't a bus. This is a car. This is a car. It's a bus. So you should be paying $2." So in my head, I was like, Soon as I open up my mouth, they straight away tourists. Do you know what I mean? So this one after that, I just go and point at things. Do you know what I mean? and done. It's not even I'll find someone else in the shop and say to them, "Look, how much you normally pay for that?" Or and deal with it that way. So to try and just don't get me wrong, I get they have to make a little extra money, but yeah,
you're better off paying someone
to just be your escort.
Yeah.
Well, no, see, no. 'Cause when I've been to Jamaica, and that's happened, I've dealt with them in my accent and said no.
Wait, but you're coming from a position of knowledge. I got into a vehicle, not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to go from here to there.
So that's if you're going there and you don't know.
You ain't got a clue.
But if you do know, it's a different.
After me on a couple holidays, I realised that I was paying enough money out. I was like, no, we don't need to do that no more. So certain places I go, I'll just find someone local and say, you're my new guy for the next week. So everything I need you to deal with it for me. And do you know what I mean? More often than not, you're good.
So Sirelli, where do you identify as from?
I identify as being Saint Lucian.
Which I personally think that's correct. You know what I mean?
I was born there. I spent a lot of my childhood there. I spent a lot of my teenage years here. So for me, this is in the UK. This is home. Yeah. This is home for me. This is where my family is. This is where my mum is at the moment. My granddad's back in Saint Lucia. But this is my home. But if you ask me where I'm from, where my heart is from, it's Saint Lucia.
So quick question to that. You've got where was your younger sibling born?
Here.
Yeah.
Here. So where's your younger sibling from? Where's your younger sibling from, sorry?
UK. All of my siblings were born in
UK.
So everyone else would be British.
Everyone else would be
British. You would be Saint Lucian.
I'd be Saint Lucian. I have a Saint Lucian passport and I have a British passport. And unless I have to, I will try and use my Saint Lucian passport. Obviously, it's not worth the paper. I love Saint Lucian and that, but you want to go anywhere with the Saint Lucian passport, then people are like, yeah, you know about 24 visas and them kind of things there. So
You say that, I can use my Nigerian passport in
Nigeria.
No. I can use it in the West African countries, and I can use it in a number of countries in the Caribbean without a visa.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
But
a recent thing.
This is still new. It's still recent.
This is
No.
Definitely
This is not like in the last couple of years. I'm talking about. I think it's either Barbados or somewhere within the last 15 years. Because when I went somewhere, I think it was Barbados I went to, I was able to use my Nigerian passport. And I went there in 2004 or something. So the point being is that it's not just like we tend to limit where we think these things are acceptable. It's actually a broader place because they accept us in other places where we wouldn't think we'd be accepted. If you was to go to Nigeria or Ghana with a Saint Lucian passport, for example, that would be accepted without a visa. There's various places across the globe where that's the case.
But I think that's because Saint Lucia is still under the Commonwealth of the UK. So
Nigeria is not in Commonwealth though, and I don't believe Ghana is either. So it's not to do with the Commonwealth, it's to do with a lot of these countries, when they gained independence, they was able to do them sorts of things.
Certain treaties were signed in it with international agreements, etc., etc. And I do know, weirdly enough, I don't know why, but last week I was watching a video where a Jamaican, the commissioner for for manufacturing, has gone to Nigeria where they produce cars.
Yeah, that's what
And he's gone there to see the manufacturing plants and to say he wants to sign an agreement, whereas all of the ministers have to drive this car. So if we get into an agreement, I think it's called an IVM. Can someone just check the name out for me, please? IVM or IMV. But
it's Nigeria's own branded vehicle.
It's their own vehicle, right? And so what they want to do, sign an agreement and say all of the ministers in government have to drive this car.
Only that car.
Only, sorry?
Innocent vehicle manufacturing.
There you go. So,
but they got a whole range of vehicles though. Don't think it's some small company. They
do buses, they do people
Pickups.
carriers, they do pickups,
luxury cars.
And the idea is that if they get the agreement in place, that you can now. So every minister should purchase it. And I thought about it.
I agree with it 100%.
And it said that there are some other countries, like European countries, where if you are in position, you can only buy a vehicle from the country it's manufactured from. So I think it was France that was mentioned.
Think of it, Germany, all their police vehicles are German-made vehicles.
All German-made vehicles.
All the presidential vehicles are, and anyone of power in that kind of area is driving a vehicle made from Germany.
So they're doing reballs of
Don't.
They are. I don't care. This is the whip. It's
fine.
Yeah.
What is it?
Land Rover.
Land Rover.
So what it comes down to, just to push the boat out a little bit further, is how are you educating your children? Where are they from?
See, this is where it does get sticky.
I mean, I'd tell my child. My child already knows he's from a Jamaican heritage. I'd always tell him that. I've always told him that to make sure he knows his heritage. It's kind of like how
is your child a Maroon?
No, but
how do you know he's not a Maroon?
But obviously, because he's coming from the same line as I am. But I'm saying to you,
are you a Maroon?
No, I'm not from the Maroon. Well, as far as I know, should I say? You know what I mean, I know a lot of different mixes that I've got within my background. So I can only give him that knowledge, and I haven't gone on. I'll be very honest. I haven't given him that type of knowledge yet because I only just got the knowledge, and it's like So this is from here. She's from her. He's from. So I started learning about the different mixes that were within my heritage. But again, these are the heritages that I've mixed with. So I've obviously got to educate him because I don't want it to be like how America is. And I've had these conversations with a lot of Americans where they are a bit more lost on where they are, and it's not their fault because they don't know. Like I've spoken to an American before, and I've said, "Oh, where are you from?" She goes, "America." I said, "So where's your family from?" She goes, "America." I said, "So where's your heritage from?" She goes, I don't know. They was all born in America." So I had to start breaking it down. I said, "All right, where was they born? You're not American. You're not Native American. You weren't from there. Where are you?"
And this is
so I'm going to throw a curveball in the middle of this. Do you know it's mathematically impossible for America to be populated by the slave ships that left Africa?
Of course.
So the amount of black people
that were there,
that reside in America today it was mathematically impossible to get all of the slave ships, if they were 100% successful, meaning no one died, all of the people that left Africa and got to America.
And remember, not all of them went to America. Most of them stopped off in the Caribbean.
So there wasn't enough to be able to populate the amount of black people that have heritage from America, which says there were black people there already. Alternatively, there was a voyage that had taken place prior
migration of some
to
sort.
the slave trade.
Yeah.
You mean man them come from Africa and went there, you mean? Yeah.
Alternatively, they were already there.
Already there. You mean,
Or it could be that the migration of people since the slave trade. Because a lot of people...
No, the same from beforehand.
No.
Oh, this is from before... Oh, wow.
So
not wow, because if you think about it, and it's deep, it's getting a bit deep, but there's a thing called root races where everyone originates from, and this is the root of all races. So to your point, sorry, it's not the mic, America had a root race which was people who were darker, call them black if you want to call them darker, whatever it may be. So that's where that comes from. So I believe that. So 100%.
And that doesn't just span over America, it also covers the Caribbean and the Caribbeans and the Arawaks. Now they were
even before them.
But these are people that were on the island when the Spaniards and the Hispanic and all these people came to the country, and the French. Because obviously Saint Lucia, the dynamics of Saint Lucia is basically the British landed on one end of the island and the French landed on the other end, and then they built forts on either end and fought over the island, which is why now we have this broken French language, which is a mixture of French and English and a bit of Dutch and etc. etc. So it's when you look at the maths of it, and then it takes it back to what Mr. Boom is saying. How do you actually identify? And it's almost like, yes, where you're born is the legal aspect to it. But if you really want to identify and say, I'm from somewhere, this is not something you can do based on your parents or even your grandparents. You've got to take that back to the point of, all right, my great-grandparents, I've got freckles. Don't ask me how, don't ask me where. My dad's side of the family, all of them in the Caribbean, we call them shabin, are all light skinned. And I'm talking very, very light with freckles. All of them, all my aunts. One of them, we actually call them Auntie Bin, short for shabin. So it's that kind of thing. And you look at them and you're like, well, somewhere there is a full Caucasian person who started this line.
So let me give you a joke, right? Sorry to cut you, really. I was 8 years old. Went to Saint Lucia with my mum. It was actually a sad story. My granddad was sick, and he said to my mum was in England, my granddad's in Saint Lucia, and he said to my mum, I want to see my grandson before I die, because he was really ill. So my mum arranged for us to go, and I don't know if, years ago, you'd book a flight, that flight would just get cancelled, and then you go 2 weeks later. Nothing was certain. And the flight we was meant to go on would have got us there in time. Didn't happen, we got on the next flight. He had died within that period of time. So when we got there, we could only go and see his gravestone and whatever else. Now, in St. Lucia, I've got lots of family lives in lots of different places, and my great-grandmother at the time lived up in the mountains in a corner somewhere. I went up there and saw her to go and obviously just give her a hug and whatever else. While I'm talking to her, this white man walks out. I said to him, what are you doing here?
What, as an 8-year-old?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Cheeky.
Why are you here? In my great-grandma's house. You're not meant to be here. Right? He starts shouting at me in patois. Obviously, I am saying, I don't care what you're saying. I don't understand you. I'm 8 at this moment. Get out. My mum comes running around the corner and just picks me up and just starts laughing. So she's holding me in her arms, start laughing. I'm like, no, tell the white man to go. He was my great-granddad's brother. His first brother. I'd obviously never met my great-granddad, but they were both French. Right, full Caucasian French. My great-grandfather went back to France. His brother stayed in Saint Lucia. And obviously I met him, but this time he's 90-something years old and an 8-year-old's in there telling him to get out because you're not meant to be. Do you know what I mean?
Lucky never got a beating.
Bruv, it's only, but it's at that point where I had the conversation to say, well, you really need to understand what your family actually look like, and where it comes from. And then when I compared my actual features, so I've got a weird straight nose compared to a lot of You know what I mean? My preference.
With black people noses. That's fine. We'll take that. We'll take that.
Buddy, inhale. So then obviously by looking at it and realising one second there are things that are different. You know, our eye colours are slightly different. As Sirelli says, he's got freckles. Do you know what I mean? He don't get grey hair. He gets brown hair. Do you know what I mean? Lots of things are slightly different. They're different tweaks. Now, are we going to turn around and separate us as a people by then trying to drill down to where we are actually identify from? Or are we going to come together and we say we are from the African diaspora? I
don't think it's that simple. I never think it's that simple.
He's trying to sell us already.
No, not at all. I just never think it's that simple.
I with you.
I think I always say that you should celebrate your differences. Because your differences are what make you.
Even though them differences divide and kill.
The differences.
Them differences are actually called religion. You know that, right?
Yeah, maybe so. But the differences that are differences are also what defines us. What makes us.
What's the Jamaican line?
Of.
Is it through all people?
Many people. Yeah,
Jamaican.
But the point of the matter is,
save our king, yeah.
But the point of the matter is, so for example, if I went to Peppers and Spice. Right. I wouldn't expect them to have jollof rice there.
That's a Caribbean
takeaway. I wouldn't expect them to have jollof rice there. Same way, I wouldn't expect to have.
But they are called a Caribbean takeaway.
The
definition in the name.
Yes,
shouldn't necessarily have food from other heritages. That doesn't necessarily
yes and no.
Sense.
But it should have a doubles though, because it says Caribbean as opposed to.
My point being is that there are differences. So we may all look the same. We all may have similarities. But the similarities we have...
It's just cultural things you're talking about.
No, not at all.
That have come to pass.
Go.
Not at all. Because
there are women from I can't remember. We have to Google it. There are women who are 6 foot tall. I cannot remember the name of the tribe.
Okay, I'll give you a classic example. Nigerian Ghana. There are Ghanaian people. There were I think it's the Twi people. I don't. If I got it wrong, my sincere apologies. Very short, very squat.
Right.
Yoruba people. In fact, let me even take that aside. Nigeria. There are even differences in Nigeria. You go up north, you have people that are fairer skinned, that are taller.
Shout goes out to Victor.
Indeed. you go to the south, the Yoruba people, dark skin, rounder faces, very different people, but they're all from the same country. But they celebrate their differences and they appreciate the differences. And this is what I'm saying. I find we spend a lot of time trying to say we're all the same. We should all celebrate the make ourselves be the same, but we're not the same. And you have to accept the fact that people have differences. Doesn't mean you have to be at war with each other, but it does mean we are very different. There will come a time when everybody will be one in this country because we're seeing it. I mean, how many of our children have got
mixed heritage?
Right. And then their children will have. So if we're talking about 2 countries together and 2 countries together,
eventually
that then becomes 4, then you have 8s, 16s and whatever, and it will continue like that until all of a sudden
you're just get beige people bopping around.
That just becomes Black British. But as it is right now, so for me, when you're saying about your line, you go up and then you can see the French in your family line, I can't see that. And it's not because of any negative, it's because the family line on both sides of my parents' side, I can trace them back. Now, it's not a negative, it's not a positive, it's just that I can do that. So I'm able to...
What's the difference?
What's the difference? The difference being, so when you're saying that there's a heritage that goes back, there's a heritage that goes back X amount of different countries. Yeah? There's a heritage that goes back X amount of different countries. For me, my heritage only goes back to Nigeria. So for me, I can't say, oh, you know what, I've got... I can't say that.
So I can't. To help you out.
No. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I can't identify. I'm not slaughtered at all. I can't identify with anything other than being a Nigerian. I'm born here.
But what if you did the DNA Ancestry and it came up that you were 30% Irish?
Then that would be very strange because I can go back through my family tree.
But it didn't.
No.
Now you're being ignorant.
No.
Now you're being ignorant.
No, Rain asked the question. Let me answer it.
I'll put £10 towards your feet.
But if it happens, oh my
Rain
lord.
asked the question.
I'll put £10.
Rain asked me a question. Let me answer the question.
I'll put that in as well.
Rain asked the question. Let me answer the question because it's not going to make no sense if I don't. So, if that happened, I'd find it very strange. The reason why I'd find it very strange, I can go back about 7-8 generations of both my parents' side, and there's no Irish heritage or anything like that. So, if that happened, I'd be thinking, my whole life then is a lie.
All right, okay, fine. Well,
That's what it would be.
As long as you understand that could happen.
I still got £10.
Yeah.
I actually want to
See, and this is the thing. So what your line of your statement within itself falls on its feet, because unless we can turn around and say 100% that there was no externals ever where our generations beyond generations ever visited, you cannot be 100% sure. I will assure you that somewhere further down, right, tribes versus tribes, right, different territories were taken over. And you cannot then turn around and say you know exactly what happened within all of them. And I'm not necessarily
that's fine. That's fine.
To dilute anything you're saying.
No, that's fine.
But there are a certain type of people, if you get what I mean, where you can see they all look exactly the same. So I don't know if you saw this meme, and it said, "I look like my God," and it was a Buddha there, and it had a child that was Chinese. Do you know what I mean? And it was like there was a little white Jesus, an Italian kid, and there was a black kid who says, "Wait, my Jesus don't look like me." Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But what I'm taking from that is we need to accept and understand that as much as I can turn around and say straight away, I'm definitely a cocktail. There's enough different fruits in my mix. Do you know what I mean? I know that, and I'm comfortable with it. The difference is I would just like to learn a bit more about what happened further up the line, just to understand myself a bit. I've got a chronic breathing.
One second, because I do want to address something you said there. Go on.
I've got a chronic breathing disease for this weird nose, right? Why? Why is that? Do you know what I mean? Did one line and the other line, were they related? Do you know what I mean? What is it? What is it that's now giving me this chronic breathing illness that now potentially I've now passed on to my children? Do you get what I'm saying?
What we should do, because I remember we said this on one of the other podcasts, what we should do is do a part 2 to this, and we all do the test, and then we reveal the test
on
live.
the show.
This would be interesting.
On the show.
It would.
But what it is as well, a lot of it as well is...
Wiley goes first.
West...
Because he has to have a whole show for himself. When it comes back, then it's part penguin or something like that.
Mash him up, you know.
Penguin.
But what is with the West Indians or the Caribbean people that are
He's Ghanaian.
Shell off his bear now.
God forbid.
You know what? I got £10, bro. I got £10.
But what is with the Caribbean people, we've got a lot of mixes in and around us, and that have gone around. So when you're saying about when you said your French one, I know I've got ones that I can probably even trace back. I don't know about yourself, Rain, and the same with you. When you said to me earlier on, Sirelli, about your freckles and stuff like that. There are so many different ones that we can probably go back and just chase back. I mean, even within this room, and we think of our own children, and we could turn and say, you know what, where's your child from then? So when your child's now sitting in the same hot seat saying they're doing the MT Junior podcast, whatever, where are they from? Because your child is mixed with what? Dominican? One of your Dominican? There's one of your Nigerian. You know what I mean? Your child's got different mixes. So it's always like there's different mixes, and they're going to be sitting there going, well, as far as they're concerned, the one thing that they'll probably say is that we're black. That's the one.
Eventually, you can imagine it's going to get so confusing.
That is what is going to happen.
We're black.
It's like America. America is exactly that. It is about Black America. I think what it comes down to, though, and this is why I say for me, I have a very different slant on it because for me, I can trace those 6-7 generations. I can.
How are you tracing them then?
Okay, so when I go back to Niger, I go.
get comfortable now.
Yeah, no, it's my country, innit? When I go back there, I go to.
Technically.
Still plays over the front.
Record all this, you know, because when we read the things next week,
it's gonna be.
We should be able to go to Nigeria with Wiley and nothing changes. We should be able to walk like with impunity. We can't do that.
So my point being, when I've gone back to my grandfather's house, which was my dad's father. Right. And when I've gone back to my grandmother's house, which was my mum's mother, I don't know why they did it, but they had various things, and I'm going back to the days of, you know, when you had them old, do you know them cameras with the you know them flashes with the flashes.
Where it had the what was it? I can't remember
what it's called. You know what I'm talking about? Them olden days.
Old with the explosive
one person.
Yes.
Which is the flash, the explosive thing. Which is the flash.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
I didn't get that.
So going back to that, and then going back.
So just for clarity, you're talking about the manual flash on a
Yeah,
camera.
where they actually had the gunpowder.
Gunpowder.
That's right.
Yeah.
So going back to that, and then going back even further to that, where they have things all documented.
Documents like what?
Documents like my family tree, of my Agumbiadi, so that's my surname. I can go back about 10 generations. When we come next week, it won't be on the show, but I'll bring my family tree in so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. On my mum's side, I can go back about 9 or 10 generations. So when I'm saying that I can see it, I'm not saying it because, I'm Nigerian. No, because I can document it back, and there are people who can document it for me. The elders being the ones who are, if I'm a third generation, my parents, their parents, they've documented it. The people before them have documented it. So it's always been fed down. It's not like it's undocumented thing.
No, I do hear that, yeah, but there are certain situations, like you said this, right, and I don't disbelieve you, especially when it comes to African people.
But he's going to disrespect you now.
No, I'm not.
He's going to tell you your great-grandmother was sleeping around.
Far from it.
African people are usually, like a lot of their heritage.
Africa's a continent, bro.
I'm talking about the whole continent.
He's going to start with it. That's
I'm not. I'm saying when I'm saying to you, they've got a lot of heritage that stick within their own. Like when I talk about West Indians and the people that obviously come over from to us lot who are black British and they lived over here, and the other ones in America and so on and so forth, there's been a mix in it. They've more stayed within their own. So I can believe what you're saying. I can honestly believe what you're saying.
Add on top of that as well. Sorry to cut you. Add on top of that as well. No. Just to add on top of that as well though. Remember, I'm first generation born here, whereas a lot of Caribbean people are
not exactly. So
further generation.
And that's what I said to you. I do understand that. All right.
One second. You're also first generation.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm first generation.
That's why I said a lot.
He's rather than first generation. His son's first generation.
That's why I said a lot.
Well,
same thing.
No, technically, my mum was actually born here.
How was it, Russ?
Okay, man.
No, it just come back to everything.
We knew you were English.
Foreign.
My mum was. I'm not on this BB thing. No.
Sorry, buddy.
I didn't even know that you're British, right? English.
But he's forgot his point now.
Forgot the point, you know.
Go on.
Man, mash me up.
Right. Okay. So people can be from wherever they want to be from, basically, as long as they've got a link to it.
I don't think it's that simple. This is what I mean. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think you can just randomly say, "Oh, I've got a aunt from Canada. You know what? I'm Canadian." I think for the way that I recognise and what I
some
understand,
form of parent should be born.
Your parentage has to come from a country.
But you can find that within anything.
So that means that you're definitively from a place. So, for example, I am born in the UK, right? Mm-hmm. So I am British. Yeah, that can't be taken away. So let's think about Shamima Begum.
Ooh,
waiting for this to come up.
She's been made stateless. Ooh. Now I think her parents, I'm not sure, someone might be able to
her parents are from Bangladesh,
but they're not claiming her. And she's born in England,
born and raised
gone to school in East London,
yes.
And now she's in a camp, and they've rejected her. So she's British, right?
I would say
she is British.
You see, this is the thing. I would say that she has been born here, and if she's claiming to be British, because this is the thing for me, it's about if you're claiming to be British and you're born here, I don't disagree with you. If you're born here and you're claiming to be British, you're British. If that's what you say.
That is subjective because it could change. At the time when she went out there, she could have been claiming
here's the thing. What is shown us is that you can be born here and not be British.
Well,
you can be born here.
Well, on that point, when I told the audience, when I told you, look, my mum was born here, all of a sudden, your attitude changed.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, I'm English, but I was still born in the Caribbean. I was still born in Saint Lucia. My passport, my birth certificate.
Saint Lucia.
So
Nah, you're still
Well, what
Saint
say
Lucian.
you?
I mean, we were joking about it, but you are still Saint Lucian. But your lineage to England is different now. So now I'm like, rah. I realised to myself,
Not necessarily.
not a little bit, just a little bit.
Because in theory, his grandparents came here on holiday or on business or came to work, had a child, went back. Do you get what I mean? They you know, they came seeking the fortunes, right? And his mum was born here, and your aunt was also born here.
Yeah, all of them.
All of your aunts.
However,
uncles born here.
mum went back to Saint Lucia and had a child. Do you get what I mean? So it does get muddy, and this is what I'm saying.
Muddy water. Yeah, I agree.
There's parts where we are very, very close, and there are parts where we're miles apart. The issue I have is due to this factor, let's say, as a factor, just putting the topic of the podcast aside for a second, this is what stops progression within our community. Because I don't see myself the same as you, because you identify different to me.
That's a whole
because of a piece of paper.
Different podcast.
One second. So because I do not see you the same. Oh, well, Wiley's African. They do things differently. And that's been a statement that's been in my household when I was growing up. You got African friend. Straight away.
And the thing is, it's not a joke.
Yeah, and when I asked my mum, why, you know, they're funny, they're different.
Do you know what? One of the biggest myths, as you say that was something that I grew up hearing, was that they cook fish and meat together. And because of that, the Caribbeans, the people,
meat together.
The two of them, fish and meat, and
in the same,
supposed to in the same pot.
Russ.
Yeah.
Right.
Madness.
They're not human.
But weirdly enough, with that, it only took to probably when I met Wiley, you know, in my very late teens, and turn around and say, what are you talking about, Mum? Do you know what I mean? This doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? Shout goes out to my man Ibby. And other Wiley. But I grew up with this kind of ignorant crowd. They're all Africans.
They eat monkey brain.
So yeah, they just do things differently. Do you know what I mean? They've got, what's the small head tribe thing called? Do you know when they sprinkle the thing on your head and you get a small head?
Beetlejuice.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Indiana Jones.
When I was saying, there were so many things
They do voodoo. They do
Voodoo,
There were so many things that I was raised to understand, and in my head I was just like,
I still don't shake Wiley's hand with my left hand. It's just...
I just said it just didn't make sense. But as time has progressed, and what I do like and what's happening and what we're perceiving, what Wiley alluded to earlier, is things like we are opening the doors again. We do have planes that are going from Central Africa or West Africa to the Caribbean. Do you know what I mean? And back again. So now we can do business.
I would love to see that first plane to land.
Sorry, it landed, bruv.
No, I'm saying that the people coming off, I'm saying that kind of, we now got this international thing, and
the
people
difference
from the
is,
Caribbean landing in Africa.
One thing that I've said is what will be of interest is I'd love to see what businesses elevate within the Caribbean and what businesses elevate, obviously, in Nigeria, in Ghana, Sierra Leone, in Gambia, you know, South Africa, Namibia.
It'll take a few years, though.
It will take a few years, but what's happening now? You start the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
And for me, this is a movement I'd love to be more integrated.
I'll be honest with you, and it's a conversation for another day. It's not in the best interest of the Western world for that to happen. So it will not happen.
It's already happening.
No, but it's what I'm saying. The Western world will not allow for certain things to progress in certain places. So we may think we're making progression, but ultimately it's all going to be underpinned by certain countries, certain governments.
Yeah, they'll always spanners thrown into it.
And they will definitely throw spanners into it, because if they see that you're starting to develop a nation, they will try and knock that nation from developing. And we've seen it so many times. We've seen it in so many different places. So this is where...
I wouldn't take that negative type of...
No, he's right. Because at the moment, in the Caribbean, their main import for vehicles is China, is Japan, and some in Europe. So there's loads of Toyotas, there's loads of Mitsubishi, there's a lot of Hondas in the Caribbean. But as we've just seen with the brand that's in Nigeria, there's no reason why now they couldn't work something out where those kind of vehicles go to the Caribbean because those vehicles will be built on the same premise because it's the same climate, the same kind of environmental impacts.
But like what you're even talking about is again, it's about people investing in taking our wealth that we've got now. For example, if there's people that have got that type of money to go and invest into the countries to make them then go into points where they can turn and invest and take them out of the countries and import them and export
It is,
them.
but it's also giving people more options because there are people in the Caribbean who think of it this way. When I was in the Caribbean, there would be days or weeks where we've run out of cement. And people are cool with it. We're not panicking, no one's not. And that's only because whatever ship it is that's coming across hasn't arrived.
It's been delayed, yeah.
It's been delayed. Yeah. Something's happened or it's stopped off at Barbados because something happened, they had to do a repair or whatever the case may be. So for a few days, maybe a few weeks or whatever the case may be is, no one in the island has got cement. Now, imagine if we now have other options. Or people buy Toyota or Mitsubishi because there are two main dealerships. There's a Honda, a Mitsubishi, and a Toyota dealership. Yep. They don't have the dealership for whatever, I keep forgetting the name, I do apologize. IVM. They don't have a Renault dealership. And to be fair, a lot of these countries that sell these vehicles, they're made differently, down to the housing on the vehicle. So for example, vehicles that go to the Caribbean,
like the tires and stuff like that.
Not just the tires, but the bodywork.
It can corrode, isn't it?
It can corrode because of the sea air. Sea salt on vehicles make things rust. So they've got a different amount of aluminium in it that doesn't rust. So there's things that they actually actively do to make these vehicles different. The air conditioning that's aimed for the Caribbean is different to the air conditioning aimed here. It goes to a colder temperature and these kind of things. So there are a lot of things that having a direct connection with a place like Africa would benefit because they have the same kind of research, R&D and stuff like that.
What I think is interesting is when you think about where are you from and where we identify from and how it works out for us, is it comes down to education. And I'm still learning, do you know what I mean? We're all still learning, but we need to make sure whatever we are learning, we are teaching one another and making sure that our children know, because without having that type of knowledge, then how do you then dictate what direction you go in next, you know? Rain mentioned this a couple of weeks ago about the Chinese owning ports in the Caribbean because they've defaulted on loans.
Or highways in Jamaica.
Or highways, yeah. You now have to pay to travel across.
Toll charge, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got a toll charge that going through the centre of the country.
Yeah, it's from
Highway 2000, but it's only one toll, and you can kind of expect that because they have it in Manchester, they have it to go over the one of the bridges in England. But
but it's still a model. It's still a model of generation.
It's a cash generation.
It's different if that cash is being into the country, but it's not. And that's happening. See, it's a whole different thing because that's not just the West Indies. I'll tell you where I went to Nigeria. And I saw.
Why do you have to think about it?
Yeah, surprise.
What's that place called again?
Not that country that I was trying to say I'm from.
No, I was about to say. I went to Jamaica because I went to Jamaica and I was about to say I saw the same thing. When I went to Nigeria, there's a lot of made in China. You see it, China. You don't even see made in. You just see China on the blocks, like on the motorway. I went to Jamaica, I saw the same thing. I went to Saint Lucia, I saw the same thing. So what all it is that it's not like a not planned thing. This is a planned systematic economic plan. But the problem is, the countries that should be working together will not ever be allowed to work together to build themselves up because then they won't need anyone else.
But you have to remember, there's also, in China, there was an era where the government encouraged people to go out, to go to other countries and work and do things like that. Because for them, they knew, for the Chinese people that go there, they don't speak the language, they don't anything, they will still have that connection with China. So, as you say in Saint Lucia, we have like a little, it's almost like a little Chinatown. It's not actually a Chinatown, but it's a little district where all the Chinamen...
Up by Kappa State?
No, I'm talking about in Castries itself, like where the shops are and stuff like that. And they import everything from China.
Victoria Island in Lagos, same thing.
Because China's got a different kind of plan to the rest of the world.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing.
I'm about to say that.
They move in there and they stay. They move to the country. That's it. We're living here. We're done. They speak like Creole more fluently than I do.
You know, China, I can't remember the exact fact. I remember reading it somewhere, but China owned between 18 and 20% of the world.
Yes.
And we're talking about things like water plants,
everything in your country they own
power stations, and those kind of things.
They own things here. Like, I can't remember what they own in England, but they own some certain supermarkets, certain department stores. Jamaica, they own roads and all them kind of sitting there. But anyway,
it was Dartford Crossing.
Oh right, okay, okay.
Yes.
Dartford.
Right, so just to catch up on the chat's been going crazy.
Shouts out to Jade
for all those that have been on there. I'm gonna start from this point. So Shez Bubbles and Lucy Jig have both actually done their DNA heritage,
and how much it cost?
And the seat chase. Sorry, pardon?
Yeah. Tell us how much it costs, please.
Oh, how much does it cost? Please share, please share, please share. Shez Bubbles says, I got 7% UK DNA, even though my great-grandfather was fully white.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean he's from
It doesn't mean
there's a lot of English people that ain't from England. It's really
Iceland,
weird. Iceland, Norway, Vikings.
She says, my mum has Nepali DNA and wasn't passed on to me.
Move on.
I drink in my mouth. I was like, I can't even say that.
All right. So House Party Queen, shout goes out to Alice, said, this is interesting as I'm doing a show for International Ladies Day on the Gene MTV, I don't know. Meaning that your lineage will trace back to a single female.
We need
a male.
We need details of that show, so we can find out what
you're
the show
all
is saying.
descendants from African queens, not kings. This is what House Party Queen has said.
So again, was that?
You're all descendants from
Africa.
African queens, not kings. I mean, I'm just gonna guess. So they just
House Party Queen.
Ta-da!
House Party Queen needs to explain that in depth because
I'm not
getting that.
I'm not having that.
I don't know.
I'm not on that.
You came from an egg and then you broke out.
Just done. Anyway.
Explain that, please.
Debbie there says, hi from Dubai. I'm not coming back. Laugh out loud. Stay there. And Jade said, well gone, Rayman. And then Shez says, it buns me that my children claim different parishes in Jamaica than I do.
Bro. What?
Wow. And Shez said,
what in your yard?
Shez says, I am not adopted. Rolling of the eyes aimed at Buddy. I know it's aimed at Buddy.
Why is that aimed at me?
And the CJ says it costs between £40 and £70 depending who you choose. Okay. Now, there are many different agencies. Is it 24andMe or 21andMe or something like that? There's
Ancestry and
Ancestry DNA and who am I or something like that.
There's one which is relatively cheap, which I can't remember. There was an American actor that I think it might have been it's either Michael B. Jordan or Huey P. Newton or not Huey P. Newton, Huey whatever his name is. They did it, but what it is there's two there's two different ones. So one is more detailed than the other. But one costs a lot more than the other, but I'm not sure which is.
So, just for clarity, we all have to do the same one, yeah?
Of course.
But I just want Wiley to do it. I mean, this is where
you should be interested in your thing still.
This is where the entertainment will come from.
He's Buddy British. He's fine. He's British.
I'm fine with it.
But he's just gonna come back, BB.
Do you know the funny thing? 100% BB.
Yeah, he's gonna get it back in 24 hours.
I don't mind, innit? Like, I don't. He's the one that's saying he's adamant. I am from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. Everything is Nigerian. I'm not saying that. And no one else in this room has actually sat there and said, I am from here, this is where I'm from.
I'll tell you what,
I don't know.
Can we do a live reveal on here when you get yours?
Yeah. We're all going to do it.
Yeah.
We're all going to do a live reveal. We're all going to
live reveal, yeah?
That's going to be a show and a half.
That's going to be a madness.
Buddy's going to get to read yours.
Yes.
There's no point reading Buddies. We all know it's going to
change. Fine.
Yours is going to come back this thick.
Shez Bubble says, I use Ancestry DNA and my heritage. And Tolson said, I also use Ancestry DNA.
Okay, that's one we're going to go with.
That's the one we're going with. Yeah.
So there are, I mean, we need to have a balanced view in it. Because I'm certain, and I know it's going to sound mad, I'm certain that these people will give you what they want to give you. Do you get what I mean?
Well,
so I believe?
Sorry, quick question to Tosin and everyone else who's done it. Could you please give us a rough timescale of turnaround so we can at least start to think about when we're going to do the review and whatnot. So yeah, just give us an idea of how long it took.
Your raw DNA data and upload it into other places like MyHeritage.
You know what it does though?
Go on.
It tells you if you've got siblings.
Yes.
Around the world.
Yeah.
So
Matty.
It's not even a lie. I found another stepsister from it.
Well, you done it already then?
No, my sister did it.
Oh, mad.
And she found another stepsister from it.
So-
And that's not even like I met her only a couple
You
weeks
could
ago.
open up some.
The thing is, I know because my great granddad used to be a seaman, so he worked on the ships.
Oh, what? Oh, okay.
Do you know what? I heard it and I just said, you know what? I'm not even going to bother. Let me just go past it.
bro.
Oh, geez.
Hey,
I heard it and I said, I'm going right past it. I'm going
yes,
right
he
past
worked on the ships and they would dock everywhere. And he was one of those people that, he loved the ladies. So my dad actually told me that, I have family in France. I have family all over the place.
You know, you say that, yeah? When I don't think it was the Windrush. It wasn't the Windrush came to the south of England, innit?
Don't blame us though.
No. What I'm saying, there was a time.
drink down there,
No.
singing.
I'll tell you what it was. It was the U.S. Army men when they were coming down from the north of England down to London. Everywhere they stopped off, there are people that have been born from them. So this is not.
This is why Liverpool's so mad. If you go to Liverpool, pure mixed race people.
Listen, and remember, Liverpool's a port, so that was the Liverpool, Manchester, all them places. There's a lot like that. It's very interesting. But yeah.
Right. So
About 7 weeks.
Yeah.
thank you. Sirelli. So the feedback we've had, it takes about 7 weeks. So if you do ours next week, by the end of April, we should be ready to roll.
Get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Reveal on Wiley's birthday. Be great.
Crash the whole day for him.
Listen, it's not gonna cost.
You are from Ghana.
It's on Ghana and Wales.
You know what? We'd have to handcuff him before we read it out. You know, just.
You don't even say it's a lie. It's a lie.
I'll tell you the funniest thing. If it ever says that Buddy's Nigerian, finished.
No, it might do. I'm not even trying to deny it though, bro. I don't mind about it all of it.
Yeah, when it comes out the two of your brothers.
Allow it.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. So I suppose just to I suppose plateau out. What's the feedback?
That Wiley's finally understood that he's actually British. That's the feedback I'm.
Is that Buddy's feedback?
He's never going to accept what you just said.
It won't
It's coming
accept
from
it.
Buddy.
It won't accept it, but it's a fact, isn't it?
Look, Buddy British is saying it. If he certifies you,
take the knighthood, innit?
I think it comes down to
Sir Buddy British.
I think it comes down to how we broke it down as in heritage, where you're born, and there was something else. I can't remember what it was. There was 3 things, and we read out the definitions. I think citizenship or what you identify as. You can identify as whatever you want to be. Doesn't necessarily make it true or right or fact. But the reality is bedtime. The reality is for me, where you are born is where you're from. Now, where your heritage is you can say I've got Jamaican descent or from Barbados, Nigeria, but that's your heritage. So you might live those values on a day to day. So that's how I see it.
Okay.
100%.
Oh, okay.
Everyone just went silent.
you know what it is? We're expecting a counter.
Yeah, but you don't have to say this. This is why I got it. He's finally admitted that he was wrong. So it's cool.
Right then. So I'll give my summary. Yeah?
Oh no.
My summary is very simple. I don't particularly prescribe fully with what Rains just said. I definitely don't prescribe what Buddy said, because
what did Buddy say? I don't remember. I don't like it.
You know what I mean?
It weren't important.
He's a colonist. We don't care about him.
The point of the matter being, if I'm from Nigerian parents and I'm born in Germany for a day, and I'm born there for a day, and then I'm raised in Spain all my life.
You're born there for a day.
I'm born in Germany. So let's say, as we said about the airports, we talk about ports, not laughing about ports or whatever. Land in Germany, born there, but then I fly after however many days to go into Spain, where my family actually live.
Has to be a couple months though. Babies can't travel.
Whatever it may be. Let's say 6 months. Let's say 6 months. Yeah, easy thing. 6 months. Right. Am I now German? Am I Nigerian? Or am I Spanish? Remember, I was born in Germany, but I've not lived in Germany.
Where's your passport? Where was you registered?
Where was I registered? Yeah. Depends. It could have been Germany. It could have been.
But where was you? So tell me where you registered.
It will say on the passport place of birth.
Yeah. Right. The place of birth being Germany.
Right.
I'm German.
So that's where you're from.
Okay. So for me,
and you could get a German citizenship from it.
Now for me, I don't agree with that in the sense of, if my family my whole heritage and everything is from Nigeria.
Then what were you lot doing
I'm
in
able
Germany?
to. Sorry?
What were you lot doing in Germany?
What was we doing in Germany? Maybe stopping over on a flight. God knows.
That heavily pregnant.
It could have been anything. No,
So much.
Hold on. You see where you mess up yourself.
Oh.
My cousin.
You messed up yourself.
My cousin.
You
Let me
messed
tell
up
you. No,
yourself.
let me tell you. My cousin has a baby that was born in America. They were there for, I think, 2 months,
Right.
and it was a stopover flight. So she started to stay for 2 months. He went back to live in Nigeria. The whole family lives in Nigeria. They're Nigerian citizens. They live in Nigeria. So it's not to say that you can't travel if you're not heavily pregnant, because you can do. So that is quite a conceivable situation. It has happened.
No.
You
Go on.
You can't travel.
You can't travel if you're pregnant. You cannot.
Who told you that?
They don't allow you to.
They don't allow you to.
Who told you that though?
It has to be anything.
with-
Who told
with-
you? I've been in a situation. You can't.
Any ladies on the live,
Please just
someone-
help us out. Please help
with
us.
someone-
Can
hold on.
People on the
you
live.
travel heavily pregnant?
Past 8 months.
Hold on.
Past 8 months?
Hold on.
Past
No.
eight months.
Hold
Might
on.
be
One second.
past
One
8
second.
months, do it.
Well, No. 1 second. Very quick question.
Why
So
you to sweat?
no, not at all. Not at all. So is 8 months heavily pregnant?
Yes.
Yes. No, I'm asking a question. No, I'm asking a question.
It is 7, you're right,
Okay.
Wiley.
Is 7 months heavily pregnant?
Both of them are.
Yeah.
So if you can travel at 7 months, it's still heavily pregnant, yeah?
What?
You just said you can travel at 7 months. I'm asking if it's 7 months. You just answered anyway. You answered it anyway. You said 7 months heavily pregnant, and you can travel at 7 months. So you can travel as you're heavily pregnant. Argument done.
What?
You just said
Yeah, why
you
is
can
it
travel
confusing?
at
Don't worry.
not at all. You just said you can travel at 7 months.
No, we said you
I
can't
asked-
travel
hold
at
on.
7 months. That's what we just said.
STN
So you
underscore
can't-
BNJMN. Women
Women
can
can't-
travel up to 7 months. LOL.
Is that women can travel?
Shouts out to Stephen
Can.
Did that say? Did that say women can travel?
Can travel.
So they can travel up to 7 months, yeah.
Righteous.
And 7 months is heavily pregnant, as you just said.
I said 8 months.
I said 8 months.
And I
So-
stated 8 months.
Okay, you know what I love about this. This is recorded. Somebody, I don't mind. It don't matter. It don't matter.
Rain said
It
7
don't
months.
matter. It don't matter. It don't
myself
matter.
and-
It's
Do you know
okay.
what it comes
It's
down
okay.
to?
You
You said
okay.
women can travel heavily pregnant. I said no,
can't.
they can't.
And we just established that
This is
7 months.
what I'm saying. No, they
And we
can't.
just established
You can
7
travel
months.
at 36 weeks by air. That's
So-
8 months from the seat check.
Thank you very much. I was about to.
You can
Google
travel-
it. Just save
You
me.
can travel by what? Sorry.
36 weeks.
36
You can
weeks.
travel at 36 weeks.
Up
So
to.
up to 8 weeks. Up to 8 months pregnant, yeah?
So 8 months is where
Which is-
the cutoff is.
Which is what, sorry? Is that not heavily pregnant?
They're already pregnant. That's the cutoff.
Why?
bro.
Do you know the difference is?
You're not listening.
I've
It's all right.
been, I've
It's
been,
all right.
I've been,
It's all right.
I've
It's all
been
right.
at the
It's all
airport,
right.
and they've said
It's all
you
right,
can't come.
Bob, it's all right. It's all right.
I went
It's
to
all right.
I went to
It's
Las
all right.
Vegas.
Someone do the start.
I went to Las Vegas in
Sirelli,
November.
Sirelli, there's no need.
I went.
It's all recorded. We're gonna play
I
it
went
back
to Las
after, and we're
Vegas
gonna
in
hear what's being
November.
said.
My partner at the time, my child's mum, was well, my son was born in February. All right, she nearly couldn't get on the flight. She had to check with her doctors and so on and so forth, and they wouldn't. It was nearly never let her on the flight and said, you're that close to the point where you're at the end of your trimester, so you will not be able to fly." All right, she just about passed, and that was November.
Me
She was born in
underscore R, 7 months is heavily pregnant. Trust me, but we're not going to believe your uterus. We're not going to believe your uterus because Wiley said different.
Wiley said different. innit?
Sorry. Just so we're clear.
So get the action.
No.
Let's get the action.
Just so we're clear. What did Wiley say, Citrus?
You said is 7 months heavily pregnant. I personally believe that's too long. Oh, and this is based on a very personal matter because a friend of mine.
No, Citrus.
No.
Sticks.
No.
You're losing me with the story.
Let's not do this.
It's a question, bro. Is that heavily pregnant? I'm trying to understand what you said.
Yes,
Okay, cool. No, that's fine.
I've said this and heard uteruses underpin what I've said.
That's fine.
So I'm now saying to you, I am saying if my partner was 7 months pregnant, we're not getting on no plane. Your family went heavily pregnant to America, had a child, you didn't finish the story.
Yep.
So
okay.
what happened?
So they had the child in America. So my point being, you can travel at being heavily pregnant, and the comments here seem to underpin what I'm saying. Because if we're saying 7 months or 8 months as whatever.
stated,
sorry, 1 second.
as stated,
One
and this
second.
is-
1 second. I haven't finished what I was saying.
Go
though.
on, Super Wiley.
So because you're not gonna just jump on what I'm saying.
Go on.
So if we're saying 7 months is heavily pregnant, and we're saying people can travel up to 7 months, then you can travel up to your heavily pregnant. That's the bottom line.
Okay, go.
Simple.
Buddy.
It's 8 months, like was stated. Like what?
36 weeks.
36
Most airlines will.
Thank you.
One second, but is that heavily pregnant? Because this is he's looking for a definition.
No, it is.
To
No,
underpin
what he's trying to go on in the argument is because Rain said 7 months, and I said 8. We said 8 months. So he's not saying let me just go with the 7 months. Go with the 7 months.
I'm not going with 7.
We said that's still heavily pregnant.
Do you know the way Google is hot right now?
It's trending. It's trending on Twitter and all sorts.
So
Okay,
the facts are
right.
what we're establishing is the story you came up with was your family travelled to the US, had a child in America,
and flew back
to Nigeria.
Right, stop.
That's right.
So the point of where the disparity comes in is the second part, not the actual
Right, yeah.
So at what the baby was born, when did they fly back?
They flew back. I think the baby was less than 3 months.
So less than 3 months they got on a plane.
Yep.
Right.
Less than 3 months.
So with that, the child was registered in
America.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they are still Nigerian citizens, and they still live in Nigeria.
No one's disputed that.
So this was my.
That's the same mix as Sirelli.
This was the point I was making, was that you can't just say because someone's born somewhere they're from there.
No, but the child is American.
The child can claim to be American. The same way the child can claim to be American. The same way child can claim to be Nigerian.
No, but the child's registered
this is stupid
in America.
because this claim thing. This is what's it's giving me the ick.
No.
Because he's saying he can claim to be this and he can claim to be that. He can identify with whatever he wants to identify as. This goes on to the same stupid thing that we would probably have a podcast about. What are you, a woman, man, woman? Are you a child? Are you an animal? What are you? Because you can identify as whatever you want to identify as.
No,
don't come in on bus.
No, that's biological.
He's got a loose point.
Yeah, because you're saying you can identify as what you want. I can choose what I choose.
No, at the end of the day, you can't change where you're born.
Are you a white man? Are you a white man?
One person.
No, let me go. Let me land. Can you identify as a white man?
Bruv.
Can you? No. Yes, you can, because you just said you had a French person or a white person in your family. So if you chose to,
they were white.
Yeah, and
they were white.
Yeah,
so I'm not white.
No. According to Wiley's law, you can identify if you want to.
Of course, he can identify as white, but it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But of course, he can identify as white.
But according to his law, that's what you can do.
Fuck off.
You can do it because but you can.
He's just heavily tanned.
China.
With a nose like that, of course he's white.
Well, according to his law, and this is why I say it's crap. You can't sit there and just make it up and say, "Well, I'm from here because I choose to. I can identify wherever I want to be identified as." You identify where you're born is where you're from.
Right.
Point blank period. Your heritage is your
definition.
heritage. That's where it comes from. You have French heritage because you just said that on the live. I got French heritage. That's your heritage.
Is it recorded?
Right. But it's your heritage. It's not. It's not where you're from. Don't come with it now and say to me. I'm from France. Because I'll just look at you and laugh.
Shez Bubbles just opened the can that I was trying to bust, and she says Cliff Richards is an Indian then because he was born in India. Joanna Lumley's family were the Gurkhas, right?
Yeah, she's from over that way. I can't,
somewhere over there. Yeah. So there's this whole, like, are they British? Are they not British?
And if you're born in China, that doesn't make you Chinese. You've then got to go, If you're born in North Korea, you're definitely not from there. You've got to go for a whole process.
And I go back to my point of, from post 1983, if you're born in this country, does not make you British.
Who changed that law?
Margaret Thatcher.
Was she British?
She was the Prime Minister. I don't know where she was born. I don't know where she was born. I don't know.
I'm just asking a simple question. She ruled this country.
She ruled this country, and she said
the law that you're abiding to.
I don't.
That's recorded.
Wait, stop. It's check, but you can get out of check.
It's very simple, checkmate, because he's not making it's not making it relevant to the point. If the law is that if you're born in this country, right? Are you gonna?
Is it Nigerian law?
I really want to hear this now.
Because I can do this all day, bruv. We can just do this, and we'll
all right, Captain America.
This is a 2-hour podcast.
We can make it be kills and kicks and whatever, or we can talk properly, innit? Right, let's talk properly. The law is, if you're born in this country post 1983, does not necessarily make you a British citizen. Whether you want to say British law, Nigerian law, Google it, it's a fact. So when you're saying to me, oh, the British law or someone who was born here or whatever, the law of the land is, if you're born here, Google it, buddy, because I know you like good Google. If you're born here post 1983, does not make you guaranteed to be a British citizen.
Okay, I'm not
simple.
arguing. I'm not arguing any of that point.
No, hold on. No, let me finish, please.
You just said simple.
No.
That's not your full stop.
I haven't finished,
Okay,
bro.
go on.
I haven't finished. So the point of the matter is, when the question was asked to me as to my summary, because this all came from my summary, no one interrupted no one else's summary, but mine seems to be contentious.
Still waiting for you to land.
That's all right, bruv. You don't need to keep on talking, bruv. Let me talk in it. If I finish talking, you'll hear the end of it. Now, the bottom line is, you may not agree. You may not agree with somebody being from somewhere, but it is not for you to say to someone, this is where they're from. And by definition, if you are able to have nationalization or be a citizen of a country, you cannot tell somebody they are not from that country. That's the bottom line.
You can, because that's what happened to Shamima Begum.
No. Checkmate. Is she a British citizen now?
No, she's not. But no.
So she's not. So I just answered you. You just said to me that's what happened to her. She's no longer a citizen.
Yeah, but.
So she's not a citizen, is she?
But you said yeah.
You can't tell someone who's a citizen
let one person land,
where they're
please.
from. So if she's not a citizen of this country, that's the argument
Yeah,
done.
but you can take away
All right,
citizenship.
so I'm going to go back to the point I made originally. So you mentioned something about 1983.
Yes.
The year Buddy was born.
And that was a pure luck, you know.
A law was changed in Britain.
Yes.
So people born after this time can identify one way. People born before this time can identify another way.
Could do.
The law was made in Britain. As a Nigerian, are you now adhering to this British law? Because it's the law of the land that you were born in.
Am I adhering to it?
Yes, sir.
I weren't born in post 1983, so it don't affect me.
However,
No, answer the question. Though.
yeah,
That's the answer to the question.
So
It don't affect me.
So if it's a British law and you're not a British man,
Yeah.
why are you bringing it up? Why are you bringing it up as a point?
Because-
isn't it my law now?
Oh, okay.
Because I'm British.
Okay.
And you're not British.
Do you want me to answer
So
you?
therefore, they've changed my law.
Your law. Do you want me to answer you then?
Of course.
Because the point was being made, if you're born in this country, you're from this country. And I'm making the point that there is a law that says if you're born in this country, you're not necessarily from this country. That is the law.
No.
That is the. You want to Google it? You can Google it. It's
What's
there.
it say again?
I'm saying to you
Is
once
there?
again, you're trying to use.
I'm using
part
the
of
law.
an argument. No, you're trying to use part of an argument to satisfy one half,
I'm
and
using the
another
law.
part to satisfy another. It doesn't work.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I'm trying to say we can't say you are from here if you don't identify as that. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Right? You can identify whatever makes you happy. I'm saying I am from Hackney. I am from England. I am a British man with heritage from the Caribbean, probably from Europe and Africa, parts of America, whatever this DNA thing is going to come back and say. That's what I know as 98% fact. Yeah? I'm well aware of that. What I'm saying is each one of us, that's going to look different in whatever DNA makeup we make. You need to and when you turn around and said, you didn't say this on the live, but you turned around and said, interestingly, that our queen died, not your queen. Do you remember?
This is where it started.
Yeah, this is where it came from. We said,
Don't open that can now.
no. And
But
I
this
just
is where it
simply said,
started.
so the money in your pocket, whose face is on it? Do you get what I mean?
To be
Because
fair, you said your head of state died. He said, "Oh, your head of state."
whichever one. So I've turned around and says, I'm not going to turn around and say, open and close brackets, that you can be one and not be the other. I'm saying what the definition is, it changes, and your definition and our definition, or my definition, which aligns with what Buddy said.
Reigns and Relly's.
Is it everyone?
Everyone apart from Wiley.
That's cool.
I feel bad.
Let me just agree with Wiley just so he feels better.
So what it comes down to for me is you can't be right on one side and right on the other side to try and use both to win an argument. You're either from one or from the other. So you cannot take a law that doesn't abide to you, right?
That's not what I said.
But you're using the law to justify whatever rationalization being born before or after 1983 is. Whereas your cousin's kid was born in America, but they're Nigerian.
Right.
So
the point being,
and the same thing is about Sirelli.
So just quickly. You respond, then you, and then
I'm done.
Okay, right. So you respond, and then we're going to sum up.
the point and the bottom line is very simple.
Sorry.
It's not about whether I abide by the law or not. That wasn't even the point. The point of the matter was, if you're born in this country, and then all this about 2 points and 2 whatevers, it's not really a relevant point, because the bottom line is, as the law stands currently, if you're born in this country after 1983, you are not guaranteed to be a British citizen. That is it, point blank. Whether you want to pull up this here and pull up that there, you are not guaranteed that you are a natural British citizen if you're born in this country after 1983. It is, you can, like I said, it's online.
That is actually true.
It's online. No, so if you want to argue with a point, one second, if you want to argue a point with me.
About where your parents are from. So if your parents are from here or have citizenship, you can claim citizenship. And the 1983 rule does not apply.
Okay.
Right.
So here's the thing now, because when I'm talking about people being born in stopover places or whatever, this is what I'm referring to, and that could apply over here. So when I'm talking about being born here,
but you're trying to fix the narrative so it fixes your point. That's wrong, bro.
You've said what you said already, innit? And if you're going to keep interrupting me, I can keep interrupting you, and it'll be a very long podcast. We don't really want that. So the point of the matter is, when I'm talking about 1983, that's what I'm referring to. Not no two-part nothing. It's the law, and the law is the law. And you want to argue with the law? Be my guest, but the law is there.
It's not the law.
Hey,
no. So it's not. No. Sorry, no. We have to be very. We have to be very accurate in what we're saying. It's not the law. It can be interpreted that can be taken away. It's not the law. It's for a person to decide. Remember, and I use Shamima Begum again.
She was born here, right?
She was born here. Mm-hmm. So on an individual case, they've stripped it due to terrorism links.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't mean that they can come and say, right, buddy, born here, blah blah blah, we're taking away your citizenship. That can't happen.
No, you know what?
That's not what I'm referring to. But anyway,
in all honesty, the way things are going right now, there's no guarantee that if, as the way the UK is going right now, we're out of the EU, certain human rights have changed and whatnot. So that is a possibility. Not right now, but coming in the foreseeable future, that is something that may be possible.
I think it's very dystopian. I think it's very Black Mirror to think that.
No, and I'm not just talking about Africa, the Caribbean. If they can find a way to negate their responsibility and say that you have no attachment or affiliation with the UK and you do with somewhere else, they will pass you on.
Brother, you can prove that point with certain white people that are out there in this country. There's prime ministers.
But you can't say that now.
Do the same thing.
You can't say that now because there are people right now who are fighting to stay in the country, who have got 3-4 kids here, who have lived here for 15, 20 years.
Lived here for 15, 20 years. That's the difference. They're not born here. But anyway, we're labouring on that point.
But that point there is the one that hammers home the most. They're not born here, which was my original point. It clarifies the original start, how we started it, and I said it's where you're born. There you go. I'm born here, so I'm British.
Wiley, summarise and things.
So children born here should be from here, according to Buddy, but that's not the immigration law. But anyway, my point being,
a lot that you don't follow.
My point being. My point being is that I don't think it is for one person to say where someone else is from if they are saying they are from there and can prove they're from there, and if they've got the rights or whatever, they have their nationalization, whatever it is, that's just what it is. People don't have to agree with it, and that's the beauty of the podcast of human nature. We don't all have to agree, but someone can't tell me what I am the same way I can't tell you you're not Saint Lucian. You know, I could say, oh no, you're French, and then you'd be looking at me like, am I mad? No, I'm saying going back to whatever. So at the end of the day, it's not for me to define what you are. I'm not going to go down the whole biological thing. It becomes a whole different perspective. Nationalization is quite a easier thing to deal with than that. So for me, that's my summary.
All right. Sirelli.
Yes. So that whole sermon by Father Wiley over there. Yeah.
Imam.
Yeah, Imam. Oh, right. He's even correcting me on that now. So my view is that where you're born is part of you. You're from that location. Be it made that you were there for a day, you were there for an hour, you were there for all your life. It is something that connects you to this earth. It's where you came into existence. Moving on from that place and living your life somewhere else and adopting a different culture, a different heritage, identifies to who you are. It speaks to your soul, but it doesn't take away from you where you were born.
Straight.
I don't have a summary, but what I'm going to say is that in 12 weeks' time, I'll have a summary. We do on Ancestry.com. So we are actually going to do that, and we're going to keep promoting it. We'll fix a date, and then the podcast is going to be on where we are from, actually, and then we'll debate these points. So we will all have to listen to this podcast and listen to the points that we've made. We might need to research that law that Wiley's going on about. That's not really a law, but it's an implied term. But so that's what I'm going to say on it.
Last thing I would say, look up the Nationalisation and Borders Bill. That's all I'm going to say. Look it up for the next thing.
No, you're not summarising.
I'll do mine after.
All right. Look, I mean, I've stated it from the beginning, innit?
Start with BB, man. Come on.
No. I stated it from the beginning. I said it's where you're born is where you're born in, and this is where you're from. Your heritage is different. We never ask for a heritage. You ask me where am I from. If you could sit there and say to me, I mean, I don't want to out anybody out here, but how much? Sorry, and I'll use you because you're across from me.
Thanks.
Sorry, but do you know the Saint Lucian national tongue? Do you speak the language?
Sakafet, Indi Fet.
But that's you don't. Do you, Wiley, speak your country's national tongue? Do you speak it?
Right. You see the problem you got?
That's short answer. Just like citrus.
Yes, I do.
You speak it
because it's English.
Thank you. And this is the full.
But wait, one second. So do you speak any of the other parts that they speak? Do you speak Yoruba?
Yes, I do.
You speak the whole language, yeah?
I can speak the whole language.
Speak or understand?
I can speak the whole language. I can understand it more fluently than I can speak it, but I can speak the whole language.
So you can't speak it fluently then, no? You can't speak it fluently, you're just speaking English.
Yes, the summary. Wiley is closing the podcast. He will close the podcast today in Yoruba.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. That'll be the test. Next.
Put my mic down.
You know,
Thank you.
No proof in this.
No.
We want the slogan and everything as well, you know.
There's Nigerians on the podcast. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All of it, yeah?
Yeah, we want the slogan as well.
You know, let me Google. But the point being, all right, is that at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit there and say to you, I would represent Jamaica. I follow that, and then I know Rain probably would be the same, and I probably could say Citrus, and I know I'm not going to use Kim because he's from there anyway, all right. But we would represent our country because we will follow more our heritage than we would probably follow anything else where we're from, where we're born, should I say? Yeah. All right, and knowing that, I will say, oh yeah, I'm a Jamaican. Like I've told my child, like I'll tell any of my family members, I'm a Jamaican. This is where I'm from. Like, but I'm born here. That's the funniest thing. I'm born here.
Can I just ask a question to everyone? And before you do your summary, right? So you are a footballer, yeah?
I'm playing for England.
Your nationality.
I'm playing for England. Use athletics. I'm running for Jamaica.
Your football team.
Your nationality. Oh, you're in the Olympics. You're doing the 100 meters. Your nationality, as stated, are the countries. Are you running for your country that you say you have heritage from, or you're from, or the country you're born in?
We're doing Olympics or we're doing football?
Let's do 100 meters or whatever.
100 meters,
whatever sport.
I'm with Jamaica. Football. I'm with England.
Why?
It's a fact. Because the opportunity.
He's following the money.
Fine.
No,
He's following the money.
in England is different.
All day long.
Right.
Nigeria.
Okay. Shirley.
The UK.
UK.
England.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Summary.
Yourself.
Football. I think I would be cheating myself. Well, my dad would be vexed if I did not do Jamaica, but I think.
So is your son going to be
But I think I'd be cheating Jamaica if I played for Jamaica, being born here.
So would your son play for Jamaica, or would he be playing for?
Again, he would be cheating Jamaica if he was, because he's born here. But my dad would be vexed. But
there you go.
All right. So my
sorry, you can go there on loan.
My summary is a lot of this is down to interpretation. It's not necessarily how you feel. It's down to interpretation, and obviously in the room with different interpretations based on our own individual stance. Interestingly enough, Wiley made a point which I really liked. He said that he can trace his grandmother's side of the family 9 to 10 generations, and his grandfather's side of the family 9 to 10 generations. With something like that, we wouldn't need Ancestry DNA. Do you know what I mean? I'll be more than happy to be able to go that far, and I don't think I'd need anything else if I could be truly honest. Now, I know, just looking around my family, do you know what I mean? If we all sat down and we had a meal, just looking around the rooms of different shapes, different sizes, do you know what I mean? Some people are bald, some people got full head of hair, do you know what I mean? We're all different, and one thing that I would say is that we all identify with each other as a family, regardless where we were born versus where we identify we're from. Wiley.
Take glass on Naomi or eMpTy?
Or Fori. No, I googled it's empty in Yoruba. So, don't play with me, you know. He never know. That's what I was waiting for.
Say it again.
He didn't even know.
Say what?
What did you say just now?
My mum.
I googled it.
End the stream, blood. End the stream.
My mum.
Let's do this right offline. Come on, come on.
End the stream. End the stream.
So we'd like to say thank you to Lulu. We'd like to say thank you to Black Star Interlude. We'd like to say a big shout out to the Ceche and Shez Bubbles keeping us entertained. Trouble Tosi, Nat Forever Blessed, Interlude. Sorry. Cape Assassin, Julie BB. Oh, there's so many. STN, BNJMN, Lucy, as the list goes on and on and on. Thank you very, very much for everyone that's tuning into the MT podcast. And we'd like to see you same time, same place next week. Good night.
Right. End the stream.
So wait, man's dropping your language on you and you don't know what I want. Seriously, you're embarrassing. All Nigerians are
After the whole thing, he didn't know, bruv. And my point was proven with the last words.
Let's be quiet.
It's fine.
We're still live.